It's hard, and it's hard to be a young boy. It's hard to be a boy going through puberty with your body changing and
Hello and welcome back to the channel, and happy Thursday. We're just one day away from Unsealing Day, which is happening tomorrow, December 19th. And honestly, I can barely contain my excitement. My name is Mandy Markheim, an actress, writer, producer, director, movie reviewer, and pop culture commentator here on YouTube. I cover everything that's trending, shocking, or just plain wild in the entertainment world, and today is no exception. We're going to dive deep into everything surrounding Never, including a few recent orders that came down from the judge, what might actually get unsealed tomorrow, and how Brandon Sleaner is suddenly backtracking on his support and messages. On top of that, we're going to break down his interview with The Hollywood Reporter because there's a lot to unpack, and I know you don't want to miss a single detail. So grab your emotional support lip gloss, maybe a cup of coffee, and settle in because you're officially in frame with me, Mandy Markheim, and we're about to go on this roller coaster together. And let me tell you, today has been something else. Not in a funny haha way at first, but more in a how is this even happening to me kind of way. This afternoon, I was feeling a little off, my head was throbbing, and I was just generally feeling out of it. I thought, okay, this is weird. I had such a good morning. What's going on? So, like any reasonable adult, I decided to take a little nap to reset. I woke up still feeling a bit woozy, so I figured I'd just lie down a little longer and gather my energy before doing anything else. And then it happened. The fire alarm in my building goes off. Not just a little beep, but that ear-splitting, heart-jumping kind of alarm that makes you instantly regret not getting up sooner. I sat there for a second, thinking, really, this is not the vibe I was going for right now. I waited, assuming someone would come on the loudspeaker, tell us it was a false alarm, and that everything was fine. But no, what actually came next was even crazier. Attention, attention, attention. There is carbon monoxide in the building. DI, please come down to the lobby. My immediate thought, panic. I threw on the best sweatpants and sweater I could find, quickly piled my hair up in a messy bun, and bolted out the door. As soon as I got to the lobby, the first person I saw was, of course, the hottest guy in the building. I swear, every time I see him, he's in scrubs, probably a doctor or something, but he also goes to my gym. So I see him, and there I was, looking like I had literally just rolled out of bed after an afternoon of self-care and naps, standing in the middle of a crowd of firemen, security, and confused residents. We all waited there, trying not to panic while construction smoke from outside seemed to linger in the building, making the situation even more dramatic. I couldn't help but make a few jokes to lighten the mood, like, well, we live to see another day, and who needs a thrill when you live in my building? Eventually, after what felt like forever, we were cleared to go back upstairs. Once I got back to my apartment, I remembered the dog needed a walk. I called my mom while taking her out, enjoying a little normalcy after all the chaos. When I brought her back to the lobby, the firemen were still around, and of course, they were all petting the dog like she was the main attraction. And there I was, standing awkwardly off to the side, trying to look calm while my dog was getting all the attention, thinking, well, I guess that's my life now, my dog is more popular than me. It was one of those bizarre, slightly funny, slightly stressful days that makes you just shake your head and laugh at life's unpredictability. So, I get into the elevator and I'm joking around with my mom, saying it really loudly because I think I'm completely alone. The doors open on my floor, I step out, and I'm still talking, saying something like, all these firemen were petting the dog, she's not the only one in heat, I'm in heat too. Why is nobody petting me? I turn the corner mid-sentence, and there is a fireman standing right there, just standing there, tall, young, very cute. I freeze. He looks at me, I look at him, and in that exact moment I know he absolutely heard everything I just said. So I panic smile and go, hello, and he goes, hello. There's this awkward pause where I'm just standing there thinking, okay, great, this is my life now. I start to walk away and my mom is still on the phone like, is that a fireman? Did he hear what you said? And I'm like, yes, he heard. I tell her, give me a second because at this point I'm mortified. Then the fireman stops me and says, actually ma'am, what unit do you live in? I tell him, and he says he needs to come check my unit. My mom immediately jumps in like, see, someone's coming to check your unit. And I'm like, mom, please shut it, thank God you're not on speaker. So he comes in to do the check, and I am dying of embarrassment because I know he heard me say, I'm in heat, why is nobody petting me? He tests everything, explains that the levels are minimal now, tells me to keep the windows open, and that the situation is under control. Eventually, they finish up, the alarms stop, and we're told the entire building is safe again because they've brought the carbon monoxide levels down, which is obviously great, but I am still replaying that moment over and over in my head. It was just the timing of it all, the exact phrasing, the immediate turn of the corner, and there he is, this tall, cute fireman, just standing there, fully aware of what I just said. That is me in real life, open mouth, insert foot, one embarrassing moment after another, no filter, very loud, saying whatever pops into my head, and most of the time ending up red as a tomato. I swear, that's what it's like being around me. I'm still reeling from it because of course that happened to me. Of course I said that. And of course there was a fireman right there who probably went and told all his fireman friends later. It's honestly hilarious, and I'm sure they've heard worse. But still, and don't even get me started on the doctor, guys. Something about that man just does something to my soul. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, moving on. Let's get into it. Signal messages. Blake Lively. Yes, the motion to compel. We have privilege logs that weren't good enough. Then redone. Still not good enough. Redone again 2-3 times. And finally, they ask for an in-camera review, so here's the update on the documents. Initially, it was reported as 8 signal messages. But those 8 messages actually branched into subcategories, so the total number is much larger, over 80 messages in total. The judge has now reviewed all of them and is turning them over to Blake Lively. Let's go through the details. The motion to compel, filed by Judge Lyman, states that plaintiff Blake Lively moved to compel the production of documents that had been withheld by the Wayfarer parties on the basis of privilege, under docket numbers 1029 and 1032. On December 9, 2025, the court directed the Wayfarer parties to produce the materials for an in-camera review under docket number 1099. After reviewing these materials, the court determined that several entries on the privilege log docket number 1161 do not qualify under the claimed privileges and therefore must be produced. Specifically, entries 42, 44, 46, 52, 53, 63 to 65, and 76, as well as 81 to 82, among others, will need to be produced. 19 entries in total. Additionally, entry 180 shall be produced, except for the messages on January 13, 2025, at 12:31 and 12:35, which may be redacted. Entry 228 will also be produced for messages on January 24th, with preceding messages redacted as needed. The Wayfarer party is required to produce these materials by December 22nd, effectively closing the docket. This is a win for Blake Lively. She's been fighting to obtain these messages for a long time. And while we don't yet know exactly how much they'll help her, it could potentially support her claims of an ongoing smear campaign. From the timeline, it appears most of the messages are from January 2025, which is after the litigation started. Generally, once litigation begins, you're not supposed to be privy to communications, especially if attorneys or PR teams are involved. But the judge has allowed Blake access up to February 18, 2025. Likely because she's asserting that the smear campaign was ongoing. In addition to the motion to compel, there were also filings today related to settlement talks, based on a video conference held on Monday, December 15th. A counsel-only conference with the plaintiff to discuss settlement is scheduled for Friday, January 23rd, followed by a separate counsel-only conference with the defendants the same day. The sessions are scheduled for 10:00 a.m. and 11 a.m. respectively. Furthermore, a full settlement conference is scheduled for Wednesday, February 11th, in person, in courtroom 18A in New York. Any participant requesting to bring an electronic device like a cell phone, laptop, or tablet into the courthouse must submit a completed electronic device order form at least for business days prior. The parties are also required to review the court's standing order for settlement conferences before Magistrate Judge Cave, which is attached to the filing. The order emphasizes that each party must have a representative present for the entire duration of the conference. If attending remotely, they must be in a private, non-public location free of background noise or distractions, ensuring the conference proceeds efficiently and productively. All in all, it's been a busy day for Judge Lyman, the only one dropping updates all weekend. These developments mark a significant procedural win for Blake Lively, both in terms of accessing these messages and moving forward with potential settlement discussions. Down. Regarding the settlement schedule, the plaintiff, Blake Lively, is required to make a settlement demand to the defendants or reaffirm any prior demand by Wednesday, January 28th. The defendants must respond to that demand by Wednesday, February 4th. If either party fails to meet these deadlines, the other side must promptly remind them of their obligation and inform the court that the required settlement negotiations have not taken place. Written submissions must be received by the court and the opposing party no later than Thursday, February 5th. Any request to change the conference date must follow the procedures outlined in paragraph 9 of the standing order. These include reasons such as needing additional information to make the conference more productive, or if a client who would otherwise participate by phone could attend in person on a different date. Counsel must follow these instructions to request an adjournment, and any defendant intending to raise financial limitations as part of their settlement position must comply with paragraph 10 of the standing order. If any party seeks to modify the procedures outlined in this order, they must submit a prompt application via letter motion on ECF and include the positions of all other parties. Additionally, if the parties resolve the litigation before the conference date, the court must be notified immediately. Failure to comply with this order can result in sanctions, including reasonable attorney fees and costs. What's interesting here is the timing. All of this is scheduled for February, but on January 22nd, Judge Lyman has also scheduled a conference with both the Wayfarer parties and Blake Lively to hear oral arguments on the summary judgment and motions on the pleadings. That seems a bit unusual because, theoretically, if the judge dismisses certain claims during the January 22nd hearing, some of the February settlement discussions could become unnecessary. Wayfarer filed their motion on the pleadings a long time ago, and Judge Lyman delayed it to coincide with the summary judgment arguments, so now, oral arguments are set for January 22nd, and settlement mediation is scheduled for early February, while the timing is a little confusing. The positive side is that the Wayfarer parties will get to present their arguments in person. This allows them to see directly what the judge's questions and concerns are, rather than trying to anticipate them through written motions. Hopefully this will help guide them and make the proceedings more effective. Personally, I still think Judge Lyman dismissed Wayfarer too early, which I felt was a poor call, so I'm hoping that some of the motions from Jennifer Al to Stephanie_Jones, as well as Wayfarer regarding identification issues, score some big wins during the summary judgment and motions hearings. Now, moving on to Brandon Sliner. He recently did an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, and it's everywhere already. The timing is strange because it was just released today, and suddenly everyone is reporting on it. This interview touches on internet bullying, with Brandon describing receiving messages telling him to die. Some of the coverage also references the situation with Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried, as well as an issue involving a housemaid. Now, a lot of what people are pulling from Brandon Sliner's interview is just the juiciest parts, which of course makes for the most clickable headlines. Legacy media is all over it, and I'll show you some of those headlines in a minute. They're quite something. But here's the gist. The article starts by saying that Brandon carried a sense of looseness into his next project, and found true acting joy for the first time. That project was It Ends With Us, which, as we know, turned out to be anything but joyful thanks to the ongoing legal battle between his co-star Blake Lively and director Justin Baldwin. Brandon notes that there was a big learning curve for him, even though he had a small role in the film, because his visibility shot through the roof. During the press tour, he even posted on Instagram calling for fans to be kinder, saying something along the lines of, "Can we focus on the ethos of this movie and not be hateful to anyone?" He thought it was a nice sentiment, but apparently, a lot of people did not agree. The blowback was intense comments like, "You're a piece of _ I hope you die. I hope your career ends," came flooding in. His agent, who had another famous client go through something similar, begged him to stay offline. Brandon describes it like walking down a hallway with a door to a room full of 100,000 people, all commenting on you at once. That was the blowback he faced, but now, thankfully, he's having a banner year. People's headlines summed it up like this. Brandon Sliner recalls commenters saying, "I hope you die," after he speaks out about It Ends With Us drama. And of course, the internet immediately exploded with reaction videos and TikToks. For instance, there was one TikTok about David Harbour not being able to make it to the big screening of It Ends With Us as publicist noted that he wasn't feeling well or had a scheduling conflict. And suddenly, people were speculating that he was having outbursts or causing drama. These are often the same people who spread rumors about Millie Bobby Brown supposedly filing complaints, which by the way, never happened. So, just a reminder, be careful out there with headlines and online speculation, because people are stirring up drama that isn't even real. Now, back to Brandon. He is represented by WME, a deal he signed while working on It Ends With Us. He talks about how such a small role catapulted him into the spotlight, but let's be real. A lot of that visibility came because of Blake Lively's PR strategy. She essentially substituted him for Justin Baldwin in the movie's rollout, taking over marketing completely and sidelining the director. Brandon's rise included things like the Book Bonanza appearance, where he was front and center, while the director and others were completely cut out. Every opportunity he got was literally facilitated by the marketing choices made by Blake, sometimes at the expense of others' careers. It's a complex situation, and it's important to understand the context of his success within that broader picture. I also found it interesting that Brandon kept using the word ethos repeatedly during his interview. It reminds me a lot of how Stephanie_Jones used it multiple times in her filings. Brandon's agent is Warren Zeller, not Zev Bella, who also handled the deposition on It Ends With Us and represents Blake Lively as well. So, there's definitely a lot of overlapping connections in the representation and PR surrounding this film. So, not only did Brandon get signed to WME, but he also ended up with the actual agent who personally represents Blake Lively. That's who reps him. And get this same agent also reps Amber Heard. So when Brandon was saying that his agent advised him to stay offline because a previous client went through something similar, I'm pretty sure he was talking about Amber Heard, but really, why wouldn't he just make the example that his other client, Blake Lively, and Brandon are essentially in this together? As Emily Baldwin famously said, "You all made your bed, now you can live in it." Brandon talks about how he got so much attention from a small role in It Ends With Us and how his visibility skyrocketed. But let's be honest, he was used. Every opportunity, Every moment of fame was facilitated by the people running the PR behind the movie. Justin Baldoni, the director, was left completely in the dark about his own film. Brandon's rise literally came from others being sidelined or attacked over and over, while he benefited from that structure. And yet, instead of standing up for those who are harmed, he's playing the victim. He could still stand up for what's right today, but he's not. Whether that's WME's PR strategy or just his personal choice. You can't always claim to be the victim when your own rise was built on others being pushed down. Moving forward, tomorrow is going to be a big day in sealing day. I'm expecting what I call a Friday night dump, and we should finally get to see the documents unsealed. So far, there haven't been any non-parties or third parties trying to keep their stuff sealed, but maybe that will all come in tomorrow. I'm here for it, and I'll be covering everything. There's also a little wrap-up happening tomorrow night with the content creators who have been covering it ends with us. We're all getting together for an end-of-year wrap-up. I'll post the details on YouTube once I know them, but I know it starts at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern then. Of course, I'll be back here tomorrow with more updates, and Saturday at 2 o'clock p.m. is our regular Saturday afternoon live, where we can go over things, have fun, and just say hello. I hope you're having a great night. That's all I have for today. I'm trying to save my energy for the weekend because I know it's going to be something big. Take care of yourself tonight, and remember to carve out just a few moments to love yourself because you matter. And it starts with truly loving yourself first. I'll see you tomorrow. I love you. Bye.